Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the World Class Championship Wrestling Review Series. March 21st, 1987 is our episode here. Al Madrill versus Scott Casey. To start us off, obviously, both guys veterans of the area. Madrill first around at the beginning of the World Class run, and Casey came in a couple of years ago for the first time, been around in and out quite a few times. Scott Casey, though basic standout in Texas, does eventually go to the World Wrestling Federation, finish out his career, I believe in '88 he goes. Anyhow, Casey manages to use power early. Madrill, obviously the heel, gets hip tossed out of the corner, and he is none too pleased about that particular fact. We see Casey go up and over, rounding through shoulder tackle, and uses his power and I don't know that I'd say speed, but certainly certain level of agility there. Anyway, so Casey heads to the outs, or Madrill heads to the outside. Um, then Casey follows suit. It is Madrill that doesn't want to let him back in the ring. Obviously, tries to gain any illegal advantage he possibly can. Does so relatively simply with punches, kicks, and the like. And then we see a bit of a breakdown of the contest. The referee finally calls for the bell with the use of a bit of a weaponry in the middle of the ring, or no, that's one match ahead. The backdrop over the top rope of Casey is what leads to the disqualification victory for him. Then we move to Jack Victory and Bob Bradley going through here versus the Fantastics. Really good match from the Fantastics here. They're back with their blue sparkly robes. I have always enjoyed the Fantastics and their color and their flash. I think the Fantastics, because of guys like the Rock and Roll Express, the Midnight Express, may get overlooked. The more I watch them here, and I know when I do other territories, I'm going to probably gain even more respect for them. Bob Bradley starts off with Bobby Fulton. Fulton just looks so easy with, kind of making, I don't even know, just making each move matter and count. Drop kicks from Rogers. Rogers looks like he has springs in his feet from some of those jumps. Really amazing athlete, and I think again Tommy Rogers, a guy I didn't originally see because I came into it as a fan in '89. I didn't originally see him till his '97, '98 ECW short-term run, and was impressed with him then. Crossbody by Rogers, and then we see tag back off to Fulton. Uh, Believe it or not, Bob Bradley takes the majority of the match. When Jack Victory comes back in, he takes over for a little while, but falls victory to the fact that the Fantastics work better as a team together. Drop kicks by both men, a bunch of drop kicks actually, and the Fantastics do get a quick victory. Um, that is obviously not what everybody was expecting fully, but it is what happens, and you see a bit of strutting from the Fantastics, among other things, but they get a moral victory before the official one. Uh, Continued drop kicks, and then we see the rowboat spot on the arm, followed by the starfish working the arm. They stay on the arm the majority of the contest, and that goes quite a ways. Shot up under the chin by Victory, and he is a guy who, and that shot is on Tommy Roger, or I'm sorry, Bobby Fulton. Atomic drop on one side, double drop kick on Victory to the outside. That leaves Bob Bradley alone, which does not bode well for Bradley. Double team maneuver and the sunset flip by Rogers. 1, 2, 3 gets him the victory. And as mentioned, fantastic to get the victory. Lance Von Erich interrupts Gary Hart's interview. Hart talks about the alliance that he now has with Nord the Barbarian. Nord being a former protege of Bruiser Brody, easy for me to say, hussing his way through the promo. Lance Von Erich tries to, I guess, interrupt or take some interview time, and Barbarian lays out Lance Von Erich, and that's not good for him. Nord, certainly a guy they're going to push. I wouldn't be surprised if he defeats Kevin Von Erich. I'm about a month ahead in my watching of content, and right about at the time when Kevin Von Erich is about to go to the stadium show and face off uh, against Nord, so that could mean a championship change because Von Erich's still your world champion at that point. We move to, speaking of the world champion, Matt Bourne and Kevin Von Erich. Bourne comes out pretty aggressively, goes for a few shots. The belt seems to have undergone a bit of a renovation. Maybe I hadn't looked that closely at it, but it looks like a new belt at this point. Percy Pringle on the outside trying to console and advise his man in the middle of the ring, or on the outside to get him back in the middle. Anyway, for the next several minutes, we see Bourne take over for a bit. Finally, Kevin comes back as the champion. Big head scissors, and manages to hit the leaping head scissors, hold on to the head of his opponent, and not really do a heck of a lot. They wrestle around in the head scissors position for a few minutes. Bourne ties him up with some leg locks and the like. Bourne is better on the mat than a lot of people give him credit for, and he proves it here. Of all places for him to prove it, here is where he chooses to, or where he's given the opportunity to, one of the two. Anyway, Bourne manages to really show his value in that way. We move through the middle, and again, continuance of a series of shots, and then kick to the outside. Percy Pringle trying to interfere. They go outside. Actually, Bourne brings Kevin back in with a suplex outside from the apron back into the ring. Beautiful maneuver. Bourne hits a backbreaker that looks pretty vicious. There's actually a point where you almost think Bourne may win this thing. It doesn't take place, but you'd think so. Really, actually, a good match, worth going out of your way to see. Been a while since there's really a standout match here in World Class. While I wouldn't necessarily call this a standout, probably one of the better matches in the last several months. Crossbody, and Von Erich gets a victory over Matt Bourne. Then we move to Steve Dahl and Dusty Wolf against the Rock and Roll RPMs. Once again, I will I will ask that you forgive my partial visual impairment. It is hard for me to tell the team of Lane and Davis apart. Meanwhile, they go pretty well to town on their opponents, though. Dusty Wolf gets cut off from his partner, and the RPMs manage to double team there, and then we see, I believe it's Davis, taking some shots at Wolf. They cut the ring off very well, do the RPMs. Obviously, Wolf and Dahl, both relative newcomers to the area, as are the RPMs, but at least they're, I guess you'd say, a territory established team coming from another territory and having, I believe the announcer said, a couple of years worth of experience. Really sloppy shot to the top of the head by, I believe, Lane at a point. But they get a heart attack type maneuver. 1, 2, 3, winners your rock and roll RPMs. That puts them up the ranks. Then we see the 2-minute scrimmage basically against with Red River Jack and Mr. Jeep Swanson. The idea is, can Brody defeat him in 2 minutes? This does not happen. There is a brawl between the two men. They've got about 4 minutes TV time. They go in and out. Red River Jack is the persona of Brody here. Basically, all they do is brawl for about 2 minutes. Referee cannot break them up. They go off the air with no real solution, and that closes this particular program. We'll be back with more right after